Welcome to this Taoist meditation session. The meditations I'm going to be presenting come from Taoism. You might be wondering why I'm talking about all sorts of things before doing the meditation. It is to give you a context and understanding why you're doing it so it can have a much better effect for you. Just sit straight, breathe, let your mind get quiet, go on to the meditation. When people are cooped up, a lot of people go anywhere from being neurotic to bordering on psychotic. Now, granted, the ones who go psychotic are a tiny minority. But as I stated earlier, once upon a time, I taught in the worst state prison in the United States. So I had the actual prisoners tell me exactly what being in solitary confinement for prolonged periods of time did to them. And, it wasn't pretty. And I think that although it's unlikely that's going to happen to people who are listening to this, this is to try and help you get through this in a much smoother way with significantly less mental, emotional, and psychic grief than you would get otherwise. And to help you get a foundation that if you saw that there was something about meditation that actually is good for your life, which is the general proposition, that you'll then continue on and do that after this COVID period is over. And everything I'm doing right now, and I've been doing from the beginning, is, if the all clear whistle goes off, we may stop these meditations for a few months. But, it's also very possible that the way the COVID virus is being analyzed by the medical professionals, that it could stop around June or something like that, and then all of a sudden, watch next year, it comes roaring back with a vengeance. Or it may just be, well, we'll get through it, and maybe we'll have the vaccine, or nobody knows what's going on with this thing. And with that, I would want to say something. In my personal opinion, the greatest mental disease in America, or mental psychological problem, is anxiety. And for that matter, most of the psychological associations seem to agree with that. Oh, I'm not talking about specific things which only encompass a minority of people. I'm talking about what affects most people. This is something that I want to emphasize, and it's something that is emphasized in all of Taoist meditation. The past is over. And things, though, can trigger your memories or fears of what were in the past. Now, in these horror movies, they were trying to induce the strongest form of anxiety or fear or something. Dracula coming in, the way the music would come in the background. This stuff was all beneath the range of human hearing. It's just that one little bit above where you react to it, but you don't actually hear it. If people had heard cats being killed, they would have revolted against it, but they didn't. It was done below that level. But that is the type of stuff that in isolation, where is this fear? Where is this reaction? Where is that coming from? Well, it's coming from a much deeper level in your mind, in your conscious thinking. But everybody's got it, and that's why it works so well. Well, the one thing that we have to realize is that when people are cooped up, at least this is what the prisoners told me. Everybody in my class was a gang leader in the prison. Everybody who was in my class had killed people, murder, except for one guy. The guy just didn't die. He shot him, he just didn't die. So what could you say? He wasn't lucky that day. But the prison guards used to come, and they would sometimes say this to me. They would say, there is a gang war that is on its way. And that was a prison when you had gang wars. A couple of people always died. Okay? Santa Fe, New Mexico. You can read all about its history in the back. And it's a really unpleasant story. Okay? But yet, every time they would come, and all I knew is that I had to get these guys to relax, and I had to get them out of anxiety mode. And the funny thing is that the guard said every single time, didn't get the gang war. So people's lives were saved and everything. But the first thing you had to accept is that these people inside themselves were freaking out. You know, living in a prison is really not easy. And it was one of the most overcrowded ones in the country, with the highest violence hit record. Well, living alone in your house might not be easy. You know, I mean, we do live in a nation where, let's just say, there's a lot of psychological issues with a lot of people. And what we're trying to do is, especially tonight, is a very simple thing. People have energy, the whole principle of a lot of what they do in the Orient is called chi, or subtle energy in the body. Now, 100 years ago it was laughed at, but now they're coming up with more and more stuff about how maybe what the Chinese call chi is actually what happens at the quantum field, because the parallels are striking, okay? And so now, so because the quantum fields, you can have all sorts of formulas, and because the quantum fields are the quantum mechanics is responsible for cell phones, people are getting a little more used to it. But what you have to just realize is this. When something is really going to disturb you, if this is the inside of you, the stuff that you first kind of get is about here. It's that deep inside your mind. The next one where they're killing cats and, you know, whatever, that's happening down around here. And that stuff will make people freak out. As I said, Hollywood made God knows how much money out of Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman and, you know, the grand amoeba that ate the town of someplace. But then you got to realize something else. These things that are disturbing you up here, they have the ability to start penetrating now into the core of your mind. And in the core of your mind are where every memory that's ever happened to you is alive. Maybe very quiet, but when you lock a person up and you don't give it all the normal ways people can move around and do this and this to just kind of keep things flowing, then, you know, the only place you go is inside yourself. And this is where you find stuff. So we're now going to look at how can you start reducing what you're finding inside. Okay, so we've gone about blockages. And we're going to go a little bit further because we still have to get you to feel your legs. But understand something. What a blockage is when you go in quiet, the simplest way of describing it is that that's going deep into your mind, into some place that's got quote unquote issues, where you are freaked out, where, you know, even though there's no, you know, if somebody comes up to you and they look like, let me take this out. I'll make this more personal so there's no way this can be misunderstood. As a youth, I went to a private boarding school. And private boarding schools are mostly known for having one or two teachers who are real bastards. And, you know, they would hit kids and do really, really horrible stuff to them. And, you know, the same thing like the Catholic Church had issues with sexual abuse. Well, so do private schools. And even if it didn't happen to you, hell, you might have heard it might have happened in the room next door. And they might have had people, you know, freaking out and doing everything. Okay, so now, Somebody walks into a room and you're 50. And the teacher who did that to you is by most likely dead, but he kind of looks like him, he kind of walks like him, the way he talks is kind of like on him. That will activate a blockage of energy in your body. Because when people do horrible things, the energy that normally is supposed to flow around a person's body, some place in it just gets stuck, and energy can't flow through it. And then when it can't go through it, it's almost like a direct conduit to waking up the thing that caused the blockage to begin with. Like I guarantee you, people coming back from Vietnam have got more internal blockages, or Iraq have got more internal blockages, or people who lived in abusive households have got more blockages. And keep in mind, abuse is not only done by the male, it's also done by the kids if they're big enough, and it's also done by the mothers. So you have all these expectations of what's normal, and then people just do a lot of bad stuff. And I wish it wasn't true. And everybody who has been involved in meditation, any serious level, the one thing they want to do is they want to help people get this crap that's in their mind and get rid of it. It's that simple. That's what the Buddha did. That's what Lao Tzu did. That's what Jesus Christ, I think, was trying to do. Okay? Buddha and Lao Tzu, I'm absolutely clear on, because they stated it overtly. The whole God thing makes, whether that was Jesus' idea or not, it makes it a little bit tricky to say because he never explicitly said it. But, so you're going to get something. So what's a blockage going to be like? You're going in, and which we will go into more after this. Something inside your body is just messed up. You're getting some kind of vibration. You're getting some kind of feeling. Now, later on in Taoism, they found that there were 4 conditions that showed this. It was tension, and that's a long story because tension means more than just the common American idea of it. Strength, and we're also talking about the strength of the ego, which is actually we're not really talking about can you lift up a car. Something that doesn't feel quite right, especially if you don't know what it is. And those are things that are really, really, really buried really deeply inside you, where something that happened to you when you were 10 could stay with you till you were 90. And any type of contraction, where somehow something in your system contracts. But before we get to that, the main thing, like we've been doing, is saying, okay, now just feel what you're encountering. Now we're going to go below the legs. Beside feeling the legs, I want you simply to notice, does anything not feel free and easy? You take your hand through the air. Unless you've got a broken limb or something, you're not going to feel that much having your hand go through the air. As a matter of fact, the air's not going to feel like much. But yet, if you go in the water and you go in a pool or the ocean, you move your hand like this, you feel a lot of resistance. And if you really want to feel resistance, try walking through mud sometime. When the mud's up to your neck, then you really will feel a lot of resistance because it's denser than water. But these are things that are inside you, and when you encounter them with your mind, all you know is that this isn't right. Something about this is whatever, and your mind will tend to fixate on it. And then as we go further, we're going to be showing you how to get rid of these things. Because when you're locked up inside your house, we should say socially sequestered or something, but effectively what you are is you're locked up. The pressure is going to build, and the pressure can, if this COVID keeps on going the way it's going, the numbers could get really large of how many people are dead. And the internal pressures of what it feels like build. And so the first thing is that just the normal pressures of being sequestered are a royal pain. okay? But if someone has stuff inside them that's blocked, that can cause a person to get physically ill. It can cause them to get crazy because the chi that's running through your body is causing your body to function. It is also causing your mind to function. And if you start, it may make you love your children more. You could come out of a sequestering for many, many months and actually hating your children for life. The same thing for your children. They could start going through it and be great with you, and then, but by the end they're hating you just because of all these little things that'll happen. And the thing is that if you can recognize that something in you is not right, that's a first really big move. I mean, if you're on a street and you see a car barreling down with the lights, okay? That's just the first, you know what that tells you? Get out of the way. But then again, what if something about that car causes you to freeze like a rabbit in the headlights and the car hits you? See, then we've kind of gone from an unpleasant mental experience to having your bones be broken. And then if it went even further than that, you could end up with a lifelong mental trauma. So this depends upon how deep these blockages are and how much they got activated and how much they got frozen. So we're going to be looking at just now going through and feeling your legs and everything and starting to resolve it. Now, energy blockages cause people who are normally the smoothest, most considerate, balanced, compassionate, loving, or if nothing else, just easygoing. It can cause them enough pressure, can start causing them to unravel. And you see that all the time in work situations where there's heavy, heavy pressure. And people just start unraveling. Well, if they could recognize, at least what they found in Asia is that if you just can recognize it's happening to you, I believe the appropriate, phrase you're saying inside your head is 1,000 oh shits or fuck this, It's really bad. Okay, nobody is putting polite, nice language when they're talking to themselves and they're going through it. So it's heavy. But if you just can recognize it and you just can go, ho, ho, this is happening to me. And this doesn't mean this is what my life is. It doesn't mean that this has to stay with my whole life. You just can start watching it and start just don't say anything. Recognize it, analyze it if you like to analyze it. And then just the sheer fact that you're recognizing it will cause a lot of it to go away. Okay? And if you just can reduce it enough, that means that after this whole COVID stuff is over, you're not left with it having conditioned you in a horrible way. Where if not, you may get it in a horrible way. There were kids who went through this whole thing with the Catholic Church of being, raped a whole lot, who came out messed up but reasonably adjusted people because they got some kind of help and it came soon enough and it was able to help them. And there were ones who didn't, and frankly speaking, some of those have been known to have been among the ranks of serial killers. So it's not that it's going to be all or nothing. It's that if you can just begin to recognize what it is and just go, oh, this is what it is. You don't have to feel like you're being taken over by it. Yes, you are experiencing it. Yes, it is happening to you. But you realize, hey, that's the guy that's doing it, not me. But that's because you can feel how it's reacting, what it's doing inside you. So this is a blockage. So blockages, can cause you to freeze up. They can cause you to cry. They can cause you to want to yell at everybody in the house. They can cause you to do all sorts of crazy behaviors, which after you've done them, everybody has the experience of that wow, I really shouldn't have done that. I really didn't want to do that, but it was like something was forcing me to do it. Well, if you can actually just recognize what it is inside that's activating, very often you cannot do those extreme behaviors, and you don't have to live through the remorse of having done them. So, with that, let's look. So we start from the top of the head, and we're just going to continue where we were the last time. And that is, you just down, take it out, just keep on going down your body, letting your mind, close your eyes, let your mind first just get very quiet. Or if you can't make it be quiet because you can't stop talking inside your head, just recognize that you are talking in your head. Yeah. Because you may want to talk in your head to solve a problem, which is a very different thing than you just have these thoughts coming into your head and those thoughts coming into your head and these thoughts coming into your head. And frankly speaking, this has been happening to human beings throughout history, so I don't think you're particularly special or cursed because you're doing it. But then just watch it. And as you go in, feel your body as much as you can. Feel your mind as much as you can. And try and notice the feelings, the sensations that seem to be behind whatever it is you're saying inside your head. If you hit a place in your body and all of a sudden it starts shimmering and shaking, or it feels suddenly depressed, just watch it. Just go like, who is this? What is this? Don't try and change it. Don't try and make it go away. That'll come later in this program. Just recognize if it's happening. Half the battles for hunters when they go out and hunt is actually just being able to find the animal they're going to try and kill. But when you go out there and hunt, the first thing is you actually got to find the animal. Otherwise, not much you can do. I mean, I guess you could take a gun and just keep on shooting at every tree, and who knows, you might get lucky, but it's very unlikely. A big part of hunting is first tracking down the animal. What is the stuff inside you that's coming up? Because these are going to be blockages. And this is what you're going to want to get rid of. But the first thing is just to recognize it. So going down your head, down your face. We've done all this. How to do this, we've done this previously. And if you can't remember, listen to a previous tape. Go down your chest. Just recognize what you're finding inside yourself. Find out what you're recognizing as you go down to your belly and your hips. And a lot of people, when they get around their hips, get nervous. America is a sexually repressed country. The Puritans may have had a pretty good idea about making money, but I think most people know now they were kind of messed up individuals. You know, really. Not talking about whether anything that they did was right or wrong, because that all depends on how you want to look at it. But they were not happy campers. Everybody was terrified of saying the wrong thing. You think we got political correctness now? You should have lived in Puritan New England. I mean, there, all you had to do was be accused of being in league with the devil, and life got rough, really rough. Something which I think every woman in America is aware of. So now, keep going, but also realize that in your pelvis is your sexual apparatus. And sexual energy has a powerful effect on people. So just recognize what you find there. When you get down to your butt, recognize what you find at your anus. Because this is where you dump the stuff you can't use. And people hold on. Just like a lot of kids and a lot of adults hold on from having a poop or a pee, which actually can lead to all sorts of physical problems. But just, really, I mean, the old joke that used to be in psychology in the 60s is shit, but it's mine, so I never want to let go of it. So getting kids potty trained is a very difficult thing for many children. So just recognizing what's in there, what discomfort, the way it makes your whole body feel. And then start going down your legs. Going from your pelvis, your genitals. Start going down your thighs. What are you feeling? What's there? What's the sensation? Okay, you can feel the surface layer of a sensation. Can you go a little deeper? Your legs are what connects you to the earth. This is where you live. You live in the earth. You don't live in a sky palace somewhere. Nobody's living in the middle of, or in some distant galaxy, as all the science fiction movies like to do. You're living right here. So your legs are what are really going to connect you to the earth. And letting it down. Do you feel any blockages? Do you feel a tightness? Do you find that when you get to a certain spot in your legs, that all of a sudden, like really weird ideas start coming into your head? And if you just watch them, you realize, this is probably a blockage. This is probably where, if I could get rid of it, I would. But that which you want to get rid of, but you cannot get rid of, in the human body, that's usually a blockage. Everybody wants not to sin, but nobody can get away with it. That's because they have blockages inside them that stop them, that prevent them from doing that. So now continue down your knees. Everybody likes to walk. Everybody's knees have taken a lot of pounding through their life. But what's in your knees beside flesh? Okay, really. Sure, you got cartilage, bones, you've got, blood, you've got, all these things which, anatomically are, physiologically, you really want them to be in good shape, unless you just happen to like endless pain. But that energy is blocked, and the same thing that will release what's in your mental frame will also release what's in your physical frame. The knees is one of the places where fear lodges in the body. So you're feeling down there. Is there anything that's like fear? Take a look. And now go down through your calves. And everybody, to some degree, would like to feel stable and comfortable. And nobody can feel stable and comfortable if they haven't made peace with the earth. This is where you live. As I said, you don't live in a far-off planet in the middle of a star or inside a spaceship, or for that matter, in a flying seven-toothed dragon. You live on the earth. And so your legs are what are connecting you to where you actually live, to what is going to allow your body and your mind to be comfortable with being on this earth. So feel for this. What is it? Feel it. What is it? And then go down to your ankles. What's in there? Your ankles are what essentially connect your legs to the ground. Ankles and feet, they're kind of a one-piece deal. But what have you got? You don't have to change anything you feel. What you just want to do is get used to recognizing what's actually happening. So in all the interactions in life where you would go nuts, you would go crazy, you would sit there being depressed, you would really, like the famous phrase is, what's going on? Because you don't really understand it. Well, I guarantee you your ankles and your feet are going to have something to do with it. So just feel, let your mind go inside and just feel. Recognize the sensations, recognize the feeling, recognize the vibration of what's in your legs and your feet. Now just see if you can let everything go in your body from the top of your head. Just let everything go. Just let it drop. Drop through your body and go all the way to your feet. Now in the future, we're not going to take you into the feet as much as down to the lower belly, but the feet are important. And all this stuff about where in many, they did the full lotuses and all that, that was actually get your energy and get your awareness to connect through your feet and have what's in your feet connect to your body. That's what all that jazz was for, and to make your spine have a stable platform to sit on. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you found this helpful. If you like this, go ahead and click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.